In this video, I'm going to compare the differences between these two Hasbro Force FX removable blade lightsabers. This one here is the Anakin Skywalker lightsaber as featured in Star Wars Episode 3, and this is the Luke Skywalker lightsaber as featured in Episode 4 and Episode 5 of Star Wars. Of course, this lightsaber is technically supposed to be this lightsaber, but of course in the movies they decided to change the way it looked. So even though they should technically be identical, they are not. So anyway, let's go over some of the differences. And as a quick FYI, I removed some of the stickers that were on this lightsaber just to give it a more authentic look. This one, I don't think I really touched the stickers that were on it so much. That's why you see this long yellow sticker here. So, onto the main differences. Immediately you're going to see that this is a glossy chrome finish. And this one weighs substantially more in the hand, which gives it a more robust feel. This one is a more matte or brushed finish, and of course it is lighter. The clips by the top over here is one solid piece, whereas this kind of is a separate piece. If you're thinking about the actual prop, this ring and these clips were actually one piece, so it was like this clip and the ring if you're talking about the actual authentic prop. But in this version of it, this is a separate piece than the ring around here, which is pretty much the only plastic part, or the main plastic part in this. So anyway, let me just give you another look. Alright, this button here is different. This is rubber. This has a more metal finish. It doesn't actually do anything, it doesn't press down. The ignition for the saber is this button here. When you don't have the blade in the emitter, you hear a short to give it the impression that it's short-circuiting, which is why your blade is not igniting. This is also a gold tip here, and this is a silver tip on the inserted plug. And here. You would think that this knob would be the ignition, but this is the ignition. Again, that shorting sound. Another difference here, the base. This is how the saber carries. You have a ring on the bottom, and the belt clip is just a hook. It's just a basic hook which doesn't have any friction once it's resting on the hook. So if you try to run or move fast at all, your saber is going to bounce right off of the belt hook and onto the ground, and these things scratch very easily. They get damaged very easily, so you do not want to drop these. I mean, they're durable, so they won't break, but it'll scratch finish pretty badly if you do drop one of these. On this saber, however, and on all the sabers that were featured in episodes 1 through 3, you have this clip over here, which is much, much better for holding, and this is the piece. This is the same belt clip for all of the sabers other than this one. Every other saber I have, it uses a style clip, which goes right in here. So it stays securely. It's not going to go anywhere until you press the button down. So much, much better for carrying. If you did want to carry around this saber on the belt clip, and if you want to see what the belt clip looks like on this, because look at my review video for the saber, I show you the belt clip. It's brown, and it has a metal hook that goes just a simple loop. So if you wanted to carry that, I would recommend modifying that hook somehow so that way it creates friction, so that way this doesn't bounce off if you're moving around. Now, other than the aesthetic differences, they both sound completely different. And the volume of the speaker box on this unit is much louder. And I'll demonstrate the sounds of both of them in a moment. The blades are identical in shape, size, and color. The bases look the same, but they are not interchangeable. This peg is at a different location. So it slots in a different spot. They're the same blade, but this is a different indentation as this one. As you see where the screw would go on, this is on the side and this one is on the top. Let me give you a closer look of both of these on the video. And both of these, all the units use AAA batteries in the speaker box that is located on the bottom. You gain access to that by unscrewing them. There's only one way that they can go in and out. Now let's hold them both together. And when you're holding them in the same relative position, these boxes are on the opposite side as well. The ignition switches. So it's another point of difference. Other than the fact that they look different, they're on the opposite side. And they, now that I've shown you how they look, let me show you how the blade goes on. You unscrew this piece. You know, on sheer looks, I think I actually like the way this one looks better, and I like the extra heft of it. But as you'll see in a moment, I prefer the sound, though, the sound effects of the original Episode 4 saber. When you insert the blade, you're going to hear an electronic clicking sound to show that there's a positive connection. The side with these bolts, this is the way you're going to line it up when you put it in. With this being lined up to that. And this one kind of fits in the saber a lot more snugly for some reason. It's a little bit harder to push this one in. And you hear the sound? That sound is coming from the speaker box. And it's letting you know that there's a good connection. I gotta push the blade down a little bit and then insert this. So that's this blade in. And then do that with this blade. By the way, the batteries on this saber I think are a little bit weaker than the other ones, so the blade is not going to look as bright on this saber. Normally they're equally as bright. And you could probably hear right away this is louder. And speaking of blades, I have issues with the blade on this unit. Sometimes as I'm maneuvering it around, every now and then, the blade will turn off or flicker off and on because there's not a good enough downward pressure connection to the electronics. I never have had that issue with this one though. I don't know if it's a quality control problem or not. These sabers don't always have the best quality control in terms of fit and finish, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's just specific to this saber. Anyway, now let's power both of these sabers on. First this one. Yeah, it would help if I screw the base on. Good. Apologize for that delay. Let me go off camera. Okay. So, and this one. So it has it's audibly louder. It has a deeper sound to it. And it doesn't feel quite as responsive when I move around. And both together. Well, first let me call this off. Now let's together. Turn this light off and shoot this from a distance here. Again, this blade would normally be a little bit brighter, but I think the batteries are weaker on this one. I had to try not to hit the low wall over here. Oops. Didn't tighten that sucker down good enough. I don't know. I like the feel of this one better. I like the sound of this one better. It seems to be a tiny bit more responsive. Exact same pressing sounds. But yeah. There you go. So that's about it. There's your Anakin Skywalker Episode 3 versus Luke Skywalker Episode 4 and 5 Lightsaber. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it informative in helping you decide on which saber you would want to get. Again, if this comes down basically to just the look of it and the heft, I would give the nod to this saber. But as far as actual functionality, this one. I prefer the sound and the responsiveness a lot better to this one, and younger people will have an easier time handling this because of the reduced weight. This piece in here adds quite a bit of weight to it. So, alright, that's about it. Please like and subscribe.